JB here. Wednesday, May 14th, 3:20. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P chopping around, I guess, outside of what happened Monday and Tuesday. We had, besides that, well, the last last minute sell off yesterday, well, the last couple minutes, it's been a chop today. And the good thing is the market's holding up. S&P is slightly in the green here. I mean, the Dow is red, but it's mostly because of United Healthcare again. Uh, but a good sign here. I talked about it on Monday too. 580 and 590 on the SPY. Probably a chop between that range. I wouldn't be surprised if we have the similar setup tomorrow, a trading range. Uh, this morning at the open, all the way up to that 589 handle again, and we did it like two or three times yesterday. Couldn't get through. Found resistance, and all the way down under 586 on the SPY at 11 o'clock. But all things considered, I mean, you look at the chart and the candle and the trading range. It's one of the lower trading ranges of the last couple of weeks. So, good sign here means churning through sellers. Buyers are still holding on, and you have to think maybe this sets things up into next week. So, that 590 spot, upper Bollinger Band actually it's 593.80 now. So that gives it some room if we do start to break higher uh, tomorrow, but or even into Friday. But I think that 590 is probably going to hold pat for now. So after the close day, you got Cisco, you have CoreWeave, right, the new IPO, and then tomorrow before the open, Walmart, Baba. I'll talk more about those. If you I'm surprised. I was looking at Baidu, some of these other names to play that I've been playing win, right? Names that I thought would be substantially higher considering the news over the weekend, and they haven't really got a bid. And then you have news what Baidu is rolling out robo taxis in India. So I'm surprised that one. All right, rants for other days. I haven't been watching Baidu the last couple of days, so not watching, but it's one of those names on the radar. All right, so now also take a look at the VIX. I mean, just an epic melt to the downside. It's pretty much, well, actually, it just went green. It's up 1% here at 1840, but it just seems like just yesterday that the VIX was in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So welcome respite from that volatility, and hopefully we don't see that anytime soon. Also, I talked about this morning. And this is great again from Market Watch. The amount of times the S&P was down 15% in a year, and then how it finished. And there's been three occurrences where we went to green, and those three occurrences substantial returns. So, have to see how this all plays out. But again, I don't want to get overly optimistic. There's still uncertainties, right? And some of the reason why even before Liberation Day, I was talking about the uncertainties that there was going to be, everybody's going to be searching the transcripts for those words, uncertainties, and that definitely, uh, you know, exceeded expectations. And then when the earnings came, it's some of those transcripts, it was manageable and working. Was still trying to figure it out and still optimistic. So we'll see how the next earnings season goes. But for now, I think if the economy still kind of stays on the right path, we're not, some folks are pricing in recession already, right? And so you would think they were expecting more weakness, and the fact that we probably weren't in a recession, and we'll find out more with some hard data as the days and weeks progress. All right, so now just individual names. So, thankfully, I was looking at RHW for some resumption of the uptrend yesterday and today. Thankfully, I kind of set on my hands on those, but I'm still watching those names. And then Reddit. And Reddit, I've been trying in and out of calls, and some I've done some lottos for some profits. A couple weeks ago, some monster gains on the bounces. And then just watching it last week, just festering, right? And uh, I'm like, it's just especially after its earnings, I thought at some point there'd be some kind of IPO smash up where it just a monster being raised. People maybe who are looking to sell, and then the shorts, locked in profits, and then you just figured the next leg was coming, and it was just a waiting game. And then finally, it almost looked like it was going to do it yesterday, all the way up to 115, then reversed. I'm like, oh, good thing I didn't get the calls. And then this morning, I'm watching, and all the way up to 118, 119, and then boom, all the way down to 114. And I'm like, oh, good thing I didn't get the calls. And then it reversed. And then once it started breaking 119 and near the 120s, I'm like, let me just get some spec calls just in case there's finally the breakthrough that I've been waiting for. And then sure enough, boom, 120 and then 121, 122. And then it was up and to the right all the way into the late morning. So, by noon hour, right before the noon hour, it was 130. So it hit 130. I locked some of my calls in for over 100% to cover costs. And then as it went up, I closed some more out for over 500%. I held the rest. So, in hindsight, should I have sold them all? I look at the chart and you look, 126 was the high at the start of May, and then you have 136, which is back in March. So I think today's breakout kind of sets the stage for a move to 136 plus. Call me crazy. So we'll have to see how tomorrow plays out. Obviously, if that doesn't pan out, not be good for the calls, but my calls are still up close to 200%. I haven't looked the last couple minutes. Yeah, so yeah, they're 170, so 150% or so. So I'll just hold those. I probably won't add any more unless there's some follow through tomorrow. Then I might look for some strikes into next week, just because you start looking at the chart, the setup, and not only that, the sell off from mid February. There was no catalyst. It wasn't like app loving that some kind of short thesis came out on it, and some of it might have had some validity, even though a lot of it was uh, smoke and mirrors. Uh, and didn't really look too much into the underlying fundamentals. But with Reddit, if it's because of Google, right, the Google search trends, I don't think that's the case either. So to me, then it's like this is probably going to start to resume its move back to all time highs from February, when it was $230. So call me crazy, but I might continue to look for opportunities to trade that for upside and a possible outcome. Other names I was watching today too, Dell, right? So I had that on the watch list too, especially you see Super Micro going this morning, and then it's all about Saudi Arabia. I didn't even do my rant on Saudi Arabia, but it's kind of funny how like all these things shift, right? Back a couple of months ago was DeepSeek, right? Oh my gosh, China AI is going to destroy AI. Nobody was talking about Saudi Arabia. The U.S. and Saudi Arabia have like we like import $12 billion. They import 13 billion dollars of our stuff. So pretty much $25 billion in trade over the course of a year, and they're going to do like a $600 billion investment in the U.S. And then it's all about AI, AMD, Nvidia. It's like, where was Saudi Arabia when we were having DeepSeek, right? It's just funny how all these things that no one talks about becomes a talking point, and then nobody talks about DeepSeek anymore, right? So uh, needless to say, it's lifted all ships, right? So you saw Nvidia, AMD, and AMD had a buyback too, so that went bonkers. So I thought maybe there'd be more sympathy move here with Dell, and I was watching. It was 111 from most of the open, and then thankfully I wouldn't say thankfully I passed, because I think you look, it's back over its 200-day moving average. Hasn't done that pretty much all year, so could be a setup here. I might look for some strikes on Dell. I don't know if I'll do it into the close, but maybe tomorrow. Um, Roku disappointing, right? It was holding up $72 by 11 o'clock, and then it was petering around for most of the afternoon. Then a little pull in the market dropped it all the way back near $70. I don't know if it was the Netflix news. Netflix came out with some subscriber data, but I think it was just a report based on their advertising, right? Because they have to tell advertisers, hey, how much bang for your buck are you getting if you're going to advertise with Netflix? So they have to let them know about their subscriber or member number. So I don't know if that was some of it, but either way, bounce back here. My calls are still in the green, but they didn't go up too much yesterday, or as much as I thought when it was up nearly 4%. And then today, it's giving some of it back. It's just a little frustrating, but that's what Roku does. So we'll see how this all plays out. I was hoping to be able to lock some in to cover costs. Still like this one for upside, especially if it breaks over that 200-day moving average right there at 72.66. Now, other names, GameStop over 29 in the morning, and then it's doing its normal shenanigans. The thing with GameStop, though, today will be the fifth session in a row into the green. You have the golden cross confirmed. One of these, he's got to come out with this update. I want to say he, because it's pretty much Ryan Cohen, right? That's that's who it's all about, right? That's kind of like most of the bull case here on GameStop, besides its fundamental position, which I think is sound too. They come out with a report. I think it's trading in mid 30s. I'll continue to hold my June strikes. And then other names, VKTX, GPCR, just getting, hindsight, of course, I should have locked all my GPCR 25s in when I locked most of them in. Instead, I held them all the way down to 2185 today. The biotech name biospace still getting, I guess you say, uneasy footing. I'll talk about UNH in a second, but I was actually looking at those August 65s yesterday and the August 60s. Makes no sense if I still have some calls. The 32s expiring, so I'll continue to hold those pending any crazy catalysts. Obviously, they've taken it on the chin the last couple of days, and then finally get some later dated strikes. I mean, the 60s are down about 10%, 65s are down 20% from yesterday, the August strikes. So I'm kind of winning, winning that those are going down, but losing because my strikes that expire this week have taken on Shin. But those are freebies. Uh, so that's VKTX. Other names. So Solar Edge back in the green here. This big spike from 130, 1720, all the way up to 1820 in a matter of an hour. Still haven't, still think this trades up into the 20s and beyond. At 20, I think it's 22.75. I have to go look back in the middle of February. It breaks that. I think it's off the races, but I'll continue to hold my strikes. I mean, those are down substantially. And then other names. So the insurers, UNH, right? I mean, it's like a Molotov cocktail. I don't even know what's the best way to describe it. Just a disaster, right? I mean, you have the whole backstop with the tragic event, and then you have them removing guidance, well, lowering guidance. Then they remove guidance, and you have leadership changes. And then there's like Medicaid, Medicare, all those things that there's uncertainty with UNH. So that one's just getting destroyed. It's been killing the Dow, and I think it's back to levels not seen since like 2021. So it's not like an epic fall from grace. But then you have these other insurers, and it's I think a lot of folks like me, he's looking at when's the bottom, and if there's a bottom, it's going to be a nice bounce. So to me, I almost want to. I might look at like Cigna, CI, or Humana, and play those for bounces in lieu of trying to do UNH because it's just who knows what's going on with that one. That's that. Walmart before the open tomorrow. My calls are down like 24%. I'm just going to hold them. I was hoping for a run and gun Monday and Tuesday, lock some out to cover costs, ride the rest into earnings tomorrow morning. That's not going to be the case, so I'll just hold them. I think it trades over 105. Call me crazy. So obviously it's a binary event. So if it's flat, if it opens up 4% tomorrow, 5%, the calls are going to get squashed. But on the flip side, I think it's gonna be a monster report, right? And then you have the uncertainty with the tariffs like removed. So maybe they were cautious in their investor day, and it comes out uber bullish. So that's kind of my thought process there. So I'll continue to hold those. And then the other names, the Restoration Hardwares, the Wayfarers, the Deck. I was looking to play W on my yesterday and possibly today. It actually had an upgrade today, Wayfair, but I'll just be patient there. But maybe as the week progresses tomorrow, maybe end of day tomorrow, I'll look for some lottos on W and RH. And then Deck announced their earnings date. I thought it was gonna be next week, and for some reason I didn't realize there was no official announcement. And then they finally announced, yep, it's next Thursday. So which is funny because that's what I thought it was when I looked. Uh, but may look for some strikes there. I was looking at the premiums, and the best way how I like to trade earnings is to get some premium build into the report. But then you start looking, and you got to go. The 155s are 60 by 75, so you're talking $25 out of the money. But if you take a look where the stock has been, and then their earnings report that really kind of set the sell off, and then the fact that it really hasn't recouped too much post tariff, I could be an opportunity there on a risk reward basis to get some strikes. Maybe it trades up to 140 into the report, locks them in to cover cost, ride the rest. So maybe as tomorrow or even into Friday, I might look for some strikes there. And that's it, folks. Disappointing names this week. Obviously, the PM trade. I mean, I couldn't have timed it better. I mean, I was looking for a name that would do well even if there was no trade deal over the weekend with U.S. and China or trade agreement. And then sure enough, I could have got puts and made some nice coin on the put side. But definitely a name I'll continue to watch. And there's other names I'm watching, like the TKO. I was talking about that one a couple. Well, actually, maybe it was post Liberation Day, but just like one of those great stories. That brand, I think it's like it's not going away, right? And I think it's a great story, obviously with the Netflix deal. And then you have to think there's going to be some kind of a bigger deal with the UFC and you flip on Netflix and you watch the Netflix and it's always the WWE or whatever is the number one rated TV show. And I back when I was a little kid, I used to love WWF, all that fun stuff. That's not my forte anymore, but it just shows the brand power. Anyway, all right, rants for other days, folks. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.